Laid out in front of you is all the parts for our Project Import B-Series breather setup. The actual tank, breather tank here, with its drain will be fully installed for you already. These fittings will be loose, but will have Teflon on them, ready for you to tighten them up in the position that you need. This is 3/8 push-lock hose for the valve cover port. This is 1/2-inch push-lock hose for the block ports. We have like 7 zip ties here to zip tie the hoses into place. There's no real pressure, so you don't have to worry about needing clamps in these areas. We have a T-fitting here that is for the valve cover port in between one of the block hoses. We have our block ports with their sealing washers. These come with sealant compound on them already. We have our freeze plug to seal off the block port from your original crankcase tank. 2 clamps for these guys right here for the hoses. A vacuum cap for the intake manifold, and a 1/8 NPT plug for a block port on the back of the motor. So we will be using all these parts. You probably will have leftover hose due to the fact that we have like 5 feet of hose here and 2 feet of hose here. You may only use 1/4 of it, depending on where you mount your breather tank. Now installing the B-Series catch can on the back of your motor, we have a mock-up engine right here that we're going to remove a bunch of parts to show you where each part is installed. First, I'm going to take, normally there'd be a hose from here that goes up to the PCV valve that's into the intake manifold. It's already been removed, considering the intake manifold's off. I'm going to take this hose off. These usually rip due to the fact that they're super hard and concrete after an age of being used. Yeah, they're supposed to be loose. I'm taking off this rear factory crankcase can. You can see it's got tons of oil inside of it. Some of these we'll get and we'll be able to pour them out. I'll have lots of oil. Actually, my EK track car was filled with oil. Now we're going to remove this port, this port, this port, and we're going to plug this hole. As you can kind of tell, the original crankcase block is in the same path as all these ports. It's just a lot lower. So this is slightly higher. These are all factory crankcase ventilation to the head, right in these galleyways. So I removed this little guy. So now we're going to plug this one and plug this one. So the little port up top, I'm going to install an 1/8-inch plug with an Allen fitting. It's a 3/16 Allen. As you can see, I've got some silicone on it. The silicone helps it to tighten in a little farther due to the fact it's a little slippery. The reason why we use an Allen is so you don't over tighten it and pull the threads out of the block. A lot of people, when they use an Allen, they get a little worried about going too tight. So there's that. Down at the bottom, I'm going to put a freeze plug in here. Clean out the oil. This is a pretty deep channel. You could go in almost an inch or more if you wanted to. If you don't really want to, you probably want to get it just a little bit past the edge right here. So out of the screen, I'm putting silicone on the freeze plug so I can get it ready to install it in the block. I'm also using a 22mm socket to install it into the block. You can see it's on my 22mm socket. See if I can do this nice and smoothly. And she's in. And after it dries a little bit, I'll wipe away some of the excess silicone. Mostly that thing is just to keep any oil from coming up. Due to the fact that it's lower in the crankcase ventilation channel, you don't want, you know, oil and stuff coming out of that. We're actually going to breathe off of these two, which is more higher up in the block, so it's less likely to get oil vapors in it. Now to remove these suckers, I have a 14mm Allen on a 1/2-inch breaker bar. See if I can do it on the engine stand. There you go. Now I was able to do these with an engine in a car, actually on my own personal car, from underneath the car, with the tranny in place, with the axle and everything. So it is doable underneath the car. You don't have to have your engine out. Plug comes out, it has a aluminum washer or seal washer. And that one was even easier. Sometimes these things are really stuck in there. It just depends on the motor. This motor looks like it's been rebuilt, it's been painted at some point. So that may be why this one was a little looser. Now our new plugs, or ports actually, we have same sealing washers, and we have our new steel ports, and they screw right in. We have an actual sealing compound on them, so you don't need to add any sealing compound to them. You can clean up the old sealing compound, vacuum, rag, so forth. I'm just putting these in temporary to show. So those would be those two. Now that we have these two breather ports installed, we've got 5 feet of hose. I'm just using an example. I have the whole thing here. And I have 2 clamps. You want to orient the clamps how you want it, probably pointing down so you can tighten them. This one I'll point this way. I sprayed some WD-40 inside the hose. And I should be able to shove this guy, depending on how good my arm strength is right now. Realistically, this hose is already really tight on here. It's not going to really leak anything, but we give you clamps for peace of mind on these. So then you'd have 2 clamps. I think to paste them in towards each other. And that would be how you would add the breather to the motor. First thing you want to do in your engine bay is look for your PCV valve system. There's a port right here that I've capped. Originally there was a hose coming off it down to the PCV valve, which was stuck inside the intake manifold. You want to remove that hose that goes down to the black crankcase box and then cap this port. We're eliminating any oil vapors going into the intake manifold there. And then the hose going from your valve cover to your intake, we want to remove that system because we'll be installing a hose that runs over to the crankcase ventilation catch can. I'm holding the crankcase ventilation catch can. The biggest thing that we were fighting with or struggling with is finding a good place to mount it. The problem we find is so many of these Hondas are so different, we couldn't come up with just a place we could mount this every single time. So we leave that in your court for you to figure out where is best to mount it for you. In my scenario, due to the type of airbox I have in intake manifold, and stuff going on, still having stock batteries, still having stock fuel filter, this was the best position for it. So I mounted it first behind the intake manifold, made a little custom bracket, and then route my hosing. On most Hondas, you have only a few places you could mount a system like this. Here, 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 and here. Depending upon what intake pipe you have, if you have a stock fuel filter, a lot of guys, if this is removed and they reroute their fuel, there's a lot of room right there. If they have a smaller battery, you'll have more room right there. If, like me, you can put it back here if you make a bracket, or over here depending on power steering, wiring, and so forth. So you'll need to mount this guy in a position that is usable for you to get the hoses. They're roughly 7 inches wide, 12 inches tall, and 3 inches deep. So you mount this, and then you start doing the plumbing. With the breather tank fully installed, or catch can fully installed, or oil catch can, whatever term you're using for it, with it fully installed, this first hose I have running down to this block port. The second hose I have running to this block port. But also on this second hose, I have a setup like this, where there's a T in the way that runs over to the valve cover port. That way, you've eliminated the valve cover port into the intake, and now we've also eliminated the PCV valve into the intake. The whole purpose of an oil catch can or breather tank is to eliminate the possibility of oil vapors getting into the intake manifold, diluting the fuel, or changing the compression ratio of the car. So, overall, by installing this, we're trying to eliminate any possibility of oil vapors into your intake manifold and into your combustion chamber. This mostly comes up in performance engines where you've added more power or more power to the car, supercharger, turbo, and you've got a lot more crankcase pressure building up, and then oil gets atomized in it, shoved in your intake manifold, and comes through the combustion chamber. So if you've added more power to your car, or like me where I'm running redline the whole time at the track, I needed to get rid of the oil that I was allowing into my combustion chamber and throwing off my tune.